Hello and welcome to the Spokane County Spotlight. I'm Commissioner Mary Kuney and my guest today is Ben Wick, Mayor of Spokane Valley. Ben, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mary. Thanks for having me today.
We're very excited to have you. So before we begin, I'd like to ask you to do a brief introduction of yourself so that way our audience can get to know you a little bit.
Sure. So I'm a fourth generation Spokane Valley native. My great-grandfather actually had a dairy farm where Sprague I-90 is now that he lost during the Depression. So longtime Valley residents. Went to East Valley High School, graduated from there, so go Knights. Then on to Eastern Washington University, got a degree in computer science. But still actually just built a house across the street from where I grew up there. So my family has about 10 acres in the Plants Ferry Park area.
Very good. And tell me a little bit about your family.
Sure. So
you've got a growing family.
I
They're
know,
very
right?
fun.
So a lovely wife, Danica, who helps me tremendously on everything, and I have 3 daughters. My oldest is Sabriel, and then Hermione and Kalena. So they're all named after novels, and so my wife's the big reader more than I am. But I like the technical manual stuff for the city council, but novels are just not my thing. And then I have a son named Lincoln as well, and so 7, 5, 3, and 1. So we're a little bit busy of a household, but
yes, you stay very busy in your household. So kind of nice to be on a little bit of acreage.
it is. So I actually got a parcel across the street from my dad, and then some of my aunt's property there too. So my aunt's my one neighbor, my dad's across the street, and my grandmother, who's going to be 97 this year, lives across the street on that side too.
So you get all kinds of advice.
We do, yeah.
for helping you as the new mayor.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, did your driveway get plowed in the last snow? Things of that nature. It's all good though. But yeah, we have llamas, and so my brother and his wife have llamas there on the family farm. So, and we used to grow pumpkins. We used to do 2 acres of pumpkins. We supply them for the XL food stores. I don't know if you remember the XL food stores or not.
No, exactly.
And so yeah.
And then with the llamas, you've been helpful with the Spokane County Fair
Yeah,
as well.
Before being on the city council, I actually served on the county's Fair and Expo Center Advisory Board, and then was on that for 5 or 6 years, and then got involved with llamas and llama barn, or camelid barn, because we're trying to bring alpacas back to the fair as well. So it's been a lot of fun in the county. So.
Yeah, no, and so I have to say, as a county commissioner, the fair is near and dear, and so thank you for all you've done for the fair and all you continue to do.
No problem. Appreciate being a part of that.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about the fact that you're 4th generation, and how do you feel that has helped prepare you in your council role and then your role as mayor?
Sure. I mean, being part of the history of Spokane Valley, I know there's a lot of people that say there's not a ton of history, but there's quite a bit of history there. And so having had the dairy farm there in the family in the past, my grandfather actually went on to start Spokane Recycling. And so he was one of the owners there of the recycling center, and then he was a builder for a while. So there's actually a Wick Street in the south part of Spokane Valley. Only about 2 blocks long is all, but I have those houses there. And he was involved in an insurance company and building the Moose Lodge there in the valley. And so I think having that history gives a unique perspective, right? So knowing where we've kind of come from and seeing all the development. Sometimes I feel like I'm getting older as I talk about it, because my dad used to say, I remember when that was a field, and now I find myself going, I remember moving hay and bales around that far. Those houses weren't there in the past, and so I find myself saying that a lot more nowadays, but we have a lot of growth in the valley.
Yes.
And so we're nearing about 100,000 population now, so, but started the city, I mean, we're a new city. I was heavily involved in the incorporation effort, forming the city. So I kind of have that perspective as well, though there was 52 candidates that ran for the first city council races back when we first formed. And that was back in 2000, I guess 2002 was when the race was there. So I didn't make it. I was 18 at the time when I ran for the first city council race, but I got to know all the different city council members, and it was really unique. We had something, well, we still have something very special at the city. We have less than 100 people as the staff for our city. So we have 100,000 population, and that little of a staff is the lowest ratio in the state of Washington. But what we do is we contract out the services or the work. So we don't have a streets department. We actually contract with private enterprise to be able to facilitate that function for us. So in my mind, we're hiring the experts that do it for a living, day in and day out, to be the service providers for our city. And so we contract many things with the county as well. Police services, we had a great sheriff's office, and so we were able to contract that service back out as well. And I think it benefits both of us. We're able to do larger economies of scale for the county unincorporated and the valley. So.
I agree with you on that. I had the pleasure of doing a ride-along with the Valley Police Department. So, you know, it's truly a group effort. You know, and when I did the ride-along, you definitely saw that, you know, synergy between the Sheriff's Office and the Valley Police. And so I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Now, one question I had for you is, so
Sure.
you became council member back in 2012.
Yep.
So you talked about, you know, kind of you tried initially, you didn't get there. So tell me about 2012 and kind of
Sure.
you know, your experience on the council.
So I've kind of had an interesting start. So I ran for as part of the first 52 when I was 18. Didn't even make it past the primary, but that's fine. I got to finish my school at Eastern then. I applied a couple times during some appointment processes and made it to the final two, and then didn't quite make it through in selection. And then Bill Gothman was actually retiring off the council, and so I was able to run for that position and made it through at the time, and back in 2011/12, and served a 4-year term on the council and got to know everybody, and it was very dynamically changing. It's interesting as you get involved and people get to know you a little bit better, perspectives change and things of that nature. So when I first came on, I didn't get to be a part of really any of the committees on the regional level, but a couple years in, I started getting into the transportation side of things and served well for a couple years. And then I ran for re-election and lost by 90 votes. And so
very close
it was a
race,
very
yes.
close race, and so it was interesting to go through that. And during that time, actually, the newspaper in the Valley, the Current, which is a monthly newspaper, and the Liberty Lake Splash, I found out as my last board meeting. So I served on the board for SNAP, or Spokane Neighborhood Action Partners, and I was on my way to the last board meeting because I couldn't serve there on their board after I was an elected official. I found the papers were closing, and so I said, well, I don't know anything about running a newspaper because I'm an IT person. And came home and talked to my wife, and she said, well, why not? Let's do this.
Yeah.
And so we purchased the newspapers as kind of trying to keep the community involved. Back when I lost my race by 90, there were no candidate forums for Spokane Valley. There was no real debates or anything for people to really know what's going on at City Hall. So we stepped up to take on the papers and get the information out about what was going on in the city. So.
Right, and it truly is a community newspaper, so you do a great job in
Thank you.
letting the community know what's happening in their area, and so so that's something that I know a lot of the citizens truly appreciate, you know, having that venue for them. So then with that experience, then how do you think that's helped you, you know, becoming, you know, now the new mayor of Spokane Valley?
You know, it's been exciting. I think having that background of being a council member for 6 years now, you get to see what's going on. You have a deeper understanding of the issues, the projects that are going on. You get to know all the staff members of the city, all the regional partnerships that go on. So I have relationships with the county commissioners and the City of Spokane council members and all the different regional boards. So you're not starting from zero. You get to kind of see, and I've always taken notes of best practices and things that we learned. I think when we had, in the past, we needed to have a little bit more speakership or a little bit more visibility as a council in Spokane Valley. And so that's what I hope to kind of bring to this role as well. As I've seen what's happened in the past and kind of have some ideas for moving forward. So.
And it's the council that decides who's the mayor, is that correct?
It is. So we're a little bit different than the rest of the
clarify
cities.
that for
So
citizens.
we're what's called a council manager form of government. So we, as the city council, the 7 of us, hire a professional to run the day-to-day operations of the city. And so that's our city manager, Mark Calhoun. And he runs the day-to-day operations. So he's the executive branch of government, and we're the legislative branch. And so we set the policy and the direction for the city. And after every election, so every 2 years, when there's a staggered city council elections, we pick one of us to be the new mayor. And the mayor isn't an executive officer like Spokane or Liberty Lake or some of those other cities. We're more of the spokesman for the city. So we get to do speaking engagements and speak on behalf of the council. And we also get to nominate for appointments for all the citizen processes and things of that nature. But otherwise, we have no more authority than other council members.
Okay, so that's the major function then, is being that spokesman for,
It is,
for
yep.
the city of Spokane Valley.
Absolutely. And setting the tone, and we get to kind of help run the meetings at the city council meetings. So.
Okay, very good. And so, you know, in the mayor's office, because you have an office
Yes.
there, you know, so then are you working, you know, I guess trying to figure out, you know, some of those functions then as you work with the city administrator?
Sure. So it's about kind of building the connections, so facilitating things. So This morning I was actually met with the mayor of Liberty Lake to talk about different issues of interest there. I mean, we're border each other on the east side there. And so just trying to work through some things and make sure we have open lines of communication. There's a lot of projects that we can work together on that we don't always. And so being able to facilitate that, kind of the external piece to the city, kind of bring in different groups together. And so that's kind of the major role. And like when we had the windstorm, there was a lot of news and publicity about what was happening in Spokane and in the county. But our city was kind of taking a sidestep from that, and we didn't really get out there to really show what we were doing as far as for our citizens. And I think a lot of that's because we're so new as a city. I mean, we only incorporated in 2003, so we're only 17-year-olds as a city now. But we need to be more present, and so that's what I hope to do.
Very good. And so I guess that's kind of one of the questions. How do these functions then help the citizens of Spokane Valley? You know, so as you as mayor and as you're out there, you know, talking to people.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different projects. We're trying to go through and look at, so we had a parks master plan that came up last year, and we got a lot of citizen feedback and input into that. And now we heard loud and clear from that we need to acquire more parkland. And so how can we do that? Well, there's an example that we have is the Sullivan Park. There's actually, we can double the size of Sullivan Park because there's a parcel owned by the DOT, and the DOT is looking to get rid of that parcel. And so we're trying to work with them to acquire that parcel to actually double the size of that park. And so trying to work those connections to go through. And we're on a series of different committees outside of the council as well.
Yes, no, there's a lot of, you know, we share on some of those the same committees. But yeah, tell me about the committees that you guys do.
Sure. So this year, the mayor got to help distribute the council committees to the different members, and so we try to do an even approach as much as possible. So every council member has the ability to be on a regional board now or commission. Myself, I actually got appointed by the governor to the Freight Mobility Strategic Investment Board, or FMCIB. I know it's a mouthful.
It is.
But there's 2 city council representatives, so I represent all cities across the state on that board, to picking and identifying projects for improving the mobility of freight throughout the state, and also lessening the impact of freight on certain communities or across the communities in the state. And so that kind of helps me advance our Bridge in the Valley projects. And so I'm sure you're familiar with the Bridge in the Valley, and everybody is, as we try and do the grade separation projects over the Burlington Northern Line. So it's the line that's just south of Trent. And that's the Burlington Northern Line. It connects Chicago to the coast or the ports. And so that's the main line that feeds the whole northern side of the United States to the coast. And in Spokane and Spokane Valley, that main line feeds all the sublines that go to the coast. So it feeds the Port of Seattle, the Port of Tacoma, and even all the way down to the Port of Vancouver. And so every train that goes over there to the coast goes through Spokane and Spokane Valley. So
Pretty, yeah, no, that's pretty amazing. And you know, just as we're talking about boards, you know, the health district is one of the.
Yep. Oh, sorry. Yep. I'm on the health district board and
you got a little ahead of me.
chair and vice chair of the health district there, and then also on the Spokane Regional Transportation Council, which is our kind of our county-wide regional transportation planning organization. Health district. I'm on the Growth Management Steering Committee for elected officials, so kind of looking at the urban growth lines and things for the county. On the Greater Spokane Inc., on the Spokane Valley Finance Committee, on the Lodging Tax Committee for the Valley for allocating tourism dollars for our city, and then also the Mayor's Association of Northeast Washington. So I've got a full plate. I think I spend more time on committees than at the council meetings. But
I would think that that's probably very true. I see you at a lot of them.
Yep.
So, and it's so important to have Spokane Valley being part of those regional committees, though, so that way you have a voice there as well.
Oh, exactly. I mean, we help pay in towards the PFD and the convention center, so we're trying to make sure that we have good partnerships there and communicate what we're going for. On the tourism side, we help fund Visit Spokane, and I used to be on the Visit Spokane board. And the sports commission and things of that nature. So there's a lot of things that cross over and go back and forth. There's a TPA board, which another council member serves on. We're on a wastewater policy advisory board for the county because we partner with the county to do our sewer services for the city of Spokane Valley. So there's a number of boards. Aging and long-term care as we try to get into addressing homelessness. And I think there's a real misconception there. I don't think a lot of people don't give us credit for contributing to those kinds of things. But as a city, we've chosen to let the dollars go through the county. from the HUD dollars and the document recording fee and those kinds of things. So.
No, and I think that's something that I will tell you that we're hoping to change, in that everyone's aware of where the dollars are coming from, who's contributing those dollars to help the projects, because it is a regional effort. And so, the City of Spokane Valley's dollars are going in, Spokane County dollars are going in, and the City of Spokane is actually administering a lot of those, so that way we're not duplicating those overhead
Absolutely.
costs. And so that's the important piece, is that I think the citizens know that they're all contributing to make it better.
Exactly. We're all carrying our piece of the pie. It's
Yes.
just how can we best utilize those resources.
Right. No, exactly. Now, one of the things you talked about a little bit earlier is, so last summer you were working to get a lot of public input
Yeah.
into the Spokane Valley on the Parks Master Plan.
Yep.
So tell me a little bit about that, and tell me, how the citizens really, were a key part of that.
Sure. I mean, the citizen feedback, we work for the citizens of Spokane Valley, and so getting their feedback as a part of any plan is important to us. And so we went out and we were at all the different farmers markets this year in the Valley trying to get feedback on the plan, and did a couple roundtable meetings and really heard loud and clear that, parks are important as well. We can't just have roads and infrastructure. We have to have park amenities as well, especially as we have more development and density going in. And so a lot of people said that we need more park property. We've done a great job of developing the properties that we had, but we need to acquire some more parcels. And so we have different opportunities. So we have the Sullivan Park as one example of that. What could that look like? When we expanded the Sullivan Bridge over the river a couple of years ago, we actually put a wider path. And so there's a 10-foot path that connects the Centennial Trail to the northern side of the river, which is where the park's at. But could we go to a 30-acre park there, and what could we do there? I mean, the old dance hall's there. Our state capital request is to try and get water service there. That park is actually served by a well right now, so there's no municipal water there. So we're trying to get water in there to be able to expand those kind of offerings as well. Redeemer Lutheran Church in the Ponderosa has actually come forward with a proposal for us to look at it or consider some property that they have to be considered for parkland. So we're talking about that opportunity. There's another one that we're in the works, not quite ready to talk about it yet, but another great opportunity. So there's a lot of different things there that we could do. There's another, with the lodging tax, kind of switching subject there to that one. We have a fund that has been building up for doing some amenities for the tourism side. One of the possibilities of that is to do a possible softball complex. And so looking at that could be another almost park-like kind of facility as well. The Browns Park is another good example. This year we're going to be finalizing that. So we took a master plan in my first term that we did, had a lot of community meetings on it, and then we were able to take a softball diamond that wasn't getting as much use as we hoped and maintenance, and turned it into a vision where we looked at the sand volleyball courts, and there wasn't really that available in our region. And so we did a master plan and found out that we could put 16 sand volleyball courts in that facility. And so we started with, we didn't know exactly where the money was going to come from or how to do that, but the neighborhood was involved and wanted lighting and trying to turn that area around. And this year we got a state grant through the capital budget last year, and so we'll be completing that master plan. So we put 16 volleyball courts in, a new pathway around, lighting, new playground and splash pads. So it's an exciting time there.
Yeah.
And then we did the Appleway Trail on the county land that we were able to work together to put a trail down, and we're opening the final segment. So now it'll be a complete trail that'll connect Spokane Valley and the University District area there all the way down into the trail system of Liberty Lake. So it'll be nice.
It'll be very nice, and a lot of people really enjoy it. So I think completing that is
It is. We
key.
kind of got out of sequence a little bit, and so we built from both ends, and so now being able to open the middle section will be really nice for people. So.
Yeah, and I know something for Spokane Valley residents that, the county is putting in the Phillips Creek Trailhead. We're hoping to have that next year, which will be out of the Ponderosa area, going up into the Dishman.
The Dishman Hills natural area.
Yeah.
That's another huge benefit for out there.
Yeah, which is again that regional working together, because it is so important to have that natural area for citizens of of all the cities and jurisdictions that
Yeah.
Spokane County is part of.
Well, and the county's done a lot of land acquisition in there with the conservation district and the Flying L Ranch and things of that nature in there too. So.
Yeah. So exciting things for the citizens
Exactly,
of Spokane
right?
Valley coming this next year.
Absolutely.
You know, which will be great. And I think the splash pads that you've been installing, you know, at some of the different parks too has been, you know, will be really beneficial.
Yeah, they get a lot. As we went through, we found out that everybody wants a splash pad now, so they want them in
Yeah.
all the parks. And so
Yeah.
we're working through to figure out how we can do that. But
No.
it's fun opportunities like that to do. So.
No, and it's good community events that can happen that around all of that. So.
Exactly.
So speaking of the state legislature and capital funding, you know, so what are you keeping an eye on this year with the state legislature in this session and that has potential impact for you in Spokane Valley?
So our number one priority for the city is to fund the Pines Road grade separation project. So we got Barker, the grade separation project there just on Barker and Trent. That one's fully funded. So we're trying to get that to bid as quickly as possible. So hoping to do that this spring/summer. And then Pines Road is unfunded, and that's the corner or intersection of two state highways. So we have $7.8 million right now from local and some regional dollars into that, but we're asking the state to match that. And if we can get another $7.8 million from the state, that will put us in the prime target for a federal grant program, because you need to kind of have that state partnership in there before you qualify for federal grants. So that's our big number one ask, and it's tough with 976. And the $30 card tab fees really set the state behind on their transportation revenues. And so we're trying to work through that and get those projects completed and letting them know that there's other things out there that need priority as well. And so that's our number one. After that, we're trying to get the Sullivan Park water line going in. We need that water line. Ecology is after us to get off the well, and the well doesn't serve the dance hall very well and the grounds, and so we're trying to get that expanded and then expand the park there as well. So that's our big capital project request this year. But other than that, as we look at density, we were over there the last couple weeks and we heard some bills that we didn't really know were out there. We found there's some state legislative movement for doing an accessory dwelling units. While we support accessory dwelling units in the city of Spokane Valley, we think we should have a little bit more say in where those go and the restrictions that are put on us for that. As well as duplexes. In 2018, we actually permitted more duplexes than single-family residential in our city. And yet there's a bill on the state level to say all cities must allow duplexes, triplexes, all the way up to sixplexes in every single-family zone. And we don't think that that's quite right. We want to be able to have control over what's going on in our community. So that's another big one. So
Yeah. No.
Contact your legislators. It's a short session, so we're hoping those kind of impacts don't hurt us too bad. So.
No, it's correct. It's one of those things you just have to keep staying on top of what's is being proposed over there, because it's 39 counties that are all, you know.
Exactly, and every community is different,
so,
right?
Yes.
Everybody wants to be able to control their own, and we're the closest to the people. So.
No. So, what are some of the key projects that you're working on now for the citizens of Spokane Valley?
I mean, Barker grade separation project is the big one. We have, I think, 2 more parcels to be able to get that going for right of way, and then we can get it break the ground, and that'll really change that whole area. So there's about 500 undeveloped acres out there in the northeast corner of our city. And with that grade separation project, we've partnered with the county to extend sewer services out there. Great partnership again. We're able to widen Barker out there, and we have just a flurry of industrial uses going in out there. So a lot of businesses moving in and good paying jobs for our citizens, which is great. Another big partnership is Centennial Properties. We actually split Garland Road with them, so they contributed $1.5 million from their private funds towards that project. And that'll provide another main street between Barker and Flora over there in the industrial area. So, and that's really opened up for development now. So.
No, which definitely helps with the economic development activity and jobs and all of that is so needed.
I mean, after Katera opening out there, and there's a number of different businesses. I can't even list them all with all the different ones that are going on out there. It's evolving quickly, and so it's great to be a part of that. Also we're doing a joint application with the county for a federal grant on the infra program, trying to get Bigelow Gulch, that realignment there into the Sullivan Road, completed. So I know the Forker realignment happened, but trying to get that completed into Sullivan. And then with that, we're trying to bring the Trent intersection together with that as well. So that way, as Bigelow Gulch goes in there, that we have a widened bridge over Trent Avenue there, and the on-ramp and off-ramp into that area too.
Yes, because
so.
that bridge over, on Sullivan over Trent is very tiny.
It is. I remember going to high school there, and
Yes.
it gets some close encounters there a little bit. So
Yeah. No, and part of that project goes through East Valley.
it does.
As well.
It'll go right between the two schools, and it's important to say that we worked it out a long time ago with the county and the school district. So there's actually going to be, I believe, a tunnel underneath that, so that way the students don't have to cross the road or as that freight movement goes through there. So
Right, because it truly is a big freight corridor, which is part of the good thing of you being on the FMSIB board, which is the Freight Mobility Board, and understanding all of that. And I think too, talking to Kelly Shea, the superintendent at East Valley, it's, it is important to have that safety for the students. And so being able to have that tunnel underneath is going to be key.
Exactly, and I know that we had originally picked out a signal for Wellesley and Sullivan there. I think our council is asking to look at that again to maybe consider a roundabout there, a little less head-on collisions and things of that nature. So safety is important too.
Safety is very important, especially with high school students in that area, and having now had enough roundabouts kind of come up in Spokane County. The safety factors is so important, and not having those head-on collisions.
Exactly.
And those T-bone collisions.
Yep. We can't stop collisions, but we can mitigate their impact, right? I mean, having a side-to-side collision is a lot easier than a head-on collision. So.
Yeah. No. So, and especially, like I said, with young kids, and young drivers, it's so important. So, and then on the tourism front, is there?
Yeah. So with that 1.3%. That we put in from a hotel room night tax that we passed a number of years ago. We have about $3 million in the fund. So what can we do with that, and what are the possibilities there? Is it going to be a softball complex? Is it going to be some improvements at, I know the county pitched an idea to do improvements at Plants Ferry Park. Is it improvements at the fairgrounds? I mean, or Center Place? So we have a lot of different opportunities there. And so it'll be interesting to see as we get engaged more public. So.
Yeah. Well, we just have the last few minutes left. So is there anything else you'd like to talk about before we have to wrap it up for the afternoon?
We're here to serve the citizens of Spokane Valley. So if anybody has any ideas or comments on the projects that we mentioned, or other ideas that we should be considering, feel free to reach out. And my email is bwick@spokanevalley.org, or you can reach out to us through our website, spokanevalley.org.
Ben, I've enjoyed our discussion today. Thank you very much, and I think our viewers have too. I'm sorry that we've run out of time.
That's okay. Thanks for having me.
I'd like to thank my guest, Spokane Valley Mayor Ben Wick, for joining us here today. As a reminder, a video of today's spotlight can be accessed on our Spokane County homepage and our Spokane County YouTube channel. You can also listen on the go and download our Spokane County Spotlights as a podcast on the SoundCloud or iTunes apps. Just go to one of those apps and search for Spokane County. I'm County Commissioner Mary Kuney. Thank you for joining us today on the Spokane County Spotlight.